Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I have an amazing video for you guys today. Here is an article from Realtor.com that you are not gonna wanna miss. There is some awesome information and things are looking pretty good if you are in the housing market. If you're looking to sell a house, buy a house, or if you're in the rental market, you're gonna wanna pay attention to this. By the way, here's my quick tip before I jump into this article. If you're looking to sell a house, guys, your window is getting shorter and shorter and shorter if you want to get that top dollar for your house. Look at this. This is the Redfin weekly housing market data, and you see the median sale price is coming down. I definitely believe we have reached the peak right here. Now, what is happening? If you see the listing, people are still trying to list their houses for fairly high price. Now, this blue line right here is 2019. Then red is 2020, orange is 2021, and black is 2022. So we still are pretty high from that 2019 level. And I do believe that eventually this line is going, the prices are gonna hit more closer to that 2019 level, maybe even below it. But right now, I definitely believe we have seen the peak. Now, so it looks like Feds raised the interest rates like a week ago. And then the mortgage banking has softened a little bit of their rates. So that was kind of like an interesting situation. So now I think the rates are at around 5. Why did that happen? Basically, the banks are deciding to make a little bit less money when they're gonna lend you the money to buy a house. Because when the Feds raised the rates, basically all applications stopped. Right, for new applications for mortgages, and banks got a little bit freaked out. So now they lowered their rates a little bit. So like I said, they're gonna make a little bit less money. So that might stabilize this a little bit. So it might slow it down. But again, I think the bottom's gonna fall out, and I definitely think prices are going to crash very soon. Now, by soon, I mean, definitely in the next year or 2 years, maybe 3 years, we'll see a rock bottom. Now, if we jump back into the article, check this out. So like I said, here's the title: The housing market hits another first we haven't seen in 2 long years. America's real estate market has hit many record-breaking firsts of late, it's logical to think that it can't go on. But recent housing data reveals a new twist that economists haven't seen in 2 whole years. How crucial is the market this week? Well, let's read. Check this out. Homes are taking longer to sell, right? What we were seeing in the last 2 years is that you would put a house out on the market and boom, it was sold within 24 hours. And people were like literally dropping 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, $100,000 over asking price. Just completely ridiculous in my opinion. But that was because we had very low supply and we had a lot of buyers. And the reason we had a lot of buyers is because the Feds had lowered the rates basically to 0, and it was astronomically low rates, which was insane. And a lot of people who had the means really took advantage of the situation. But essentially, because of coronavirus, the problem was that the supply was down in the dumps. And as a result, people started bidding these houses because you know what? Getting into property, man, is a great hedge against inflation. People saw that inflation was gonna come. So a lot of people said, hey, forget it, put my money into property. They didn't even care that it was gonna, go up in price or that they were overpaying, because they thought that their money was gonna be more secure there. Plus, again, it's like free money coming from the government. So it's not that big of a deal for a lot of people. So that essentially made the housing prices go skyrocket. Like this is the median sale price back in 2019. It was $278 and now it's $385. But here's the problem, is that this jump was so drastic that now that we have inflation, which is a whole monster all on its own, then the Feds had to do something. They started raising rates and they put totally the brakes on the housing market, right? So now we're starting to see prices starting to drop, which is a much needed drop, okay? Because at the end of the day, our communities definitely cannot afford these high prices. So we're definitely, the bubble's starting, I believe it's popped and it is now deflating. So here, let's read a little bit more. The increase in time on the market. So basically, homes are taking longer to sell. Why? Because we switched over from a seller's market into a buyer's market, and now buyers are being more picky. There's less buyers. That's another thing, right? So we have more inventory and less buyers. So now homes are sitting longer. So if you have a really nice house, yeah, sure, you can sell it for a decent amount, and it's going to probably sell fairly quickly. But if you have a fixer-upper, that is going to sit and just, it's going to sit and sit on the market, and we're going to see bigger price reductions. The good thing is that when you have these fixer-uppers sitting on the market longer and longer and longer, and they finally do sell at a reduced price, it does bring the entire neighborhood prices down. So even the nice houses are going to sell for a little bit less. So think about that, because right now, going into a buyer's market, now being in a buyer's market, which really means is that time is on your side, right? You don't have to buy a house right now. Right now, it is, you just want to wait. Don't get FOMO. Okay, don't get FOMO, because look, just look at how expensive houses are compared to 2019, right? It's huge jump. So right now, you gotta let the steam cool off. You gotta let this price come down. And like I said, time is on your side if you're buying a house. Now, if you're selling a house, unfortunately, time is working against you. The longer you wait, the more chances you're gonna have of selling that house for lower and lower and lower. So you really wanna put your house on the market basically ASAP if you wanna get those high prices. If you have a house that's a fixer-upper, unfortunately, be prepared to having it sit. You're gonna, these people are gonna start lowballing you. If you put it up for $500,000, right, and it's a fixer-upper, and suddenly, it's sitting in the market for 3, 4, 5 months. Guess what? People are gonna start lowballing you. They're gonna offer you $380, $410, or around there, right? It's gonna be a problem. But hey, that's the way the market works. So that's why if you are ever thinking about buying a house, that's why it's really important that you upgrade your house. You make sure your house is nice. It's got, nice kitchen, nice floors, nice bathrooms, because buying a house is essentially an emotional decision, right? It is an emotional decision. And the idea is that the prettier the houses are, the more people are going to fall in love with it, and the quicker it's going to get sold. And remember, when you're buying a house, if it's a fixer-upper, and let's just say, yeah, sure, you get it for a good deal, but as soon as you walk in, you got to renovate it. And renovating, you need actual money. You need cash to renovate it. Versus if you buy a house that's already built, and you're paying a little higher price, well, you're just gonna roll that into the mortgage, right? That just is part of your monthly payments. And when you extend that into like 30 years, like that price increase from a fixer-upper to a nice, pretty house, it's minimal, right? Again, if you buy a fixer-upper, you get a savings of $50,000, versus the nice house in the neighborhood. When you jump into that fixer-upper, guess what? You know how much a kitchen costs? A kitchen could cost you $20,000, $25,000, $30,000. Bathrooms could cost you $10,000, $15,000. Floors can cost you $10,000. So that savings that you were saving, right, it goes right out the door right when you have to do all these fixes. Now, a lot of people are like, well, I'm just gonna do it myself. Sure, you could do things yourself, right? And that's fine. But make sure you do a good job, because if you're not handy and you kind of do a half-assed job, remember, this is your investment, right? You want to make sure things get done right, because if you ever want to go sell that house and the inspector comes in, representing the future buyer, and they go in and they're like, this electrical was Mickey Mouse, this was not done up to code, guess what? Your house is not going to sell, right? So you want to make sure you do things the right way. You want to make sure that you invest in your property, and you got to make sure that if you are thinking about buying a fixer-upper, think about the cost of rebuilding some of the parts in the house that look like crap. Who benefits from buying fixer-uppers are the contractors, right? A contracting company that, a successful one, they could go in and buy a house, and suddenly they already have the materials in their warehouse, so they could do the kitchen, they could do the floors. They already have the employees and they're doing it right. So they go in and they fix it, and it's easy for them to do it, right? Versus, you know, if you buy it, you go into a house and now, you know, you still have a job, you know, working 40, 50 hours a week. It's hard to, you know, dedicate every weekend to laying new floors, right? So just something to think about. You know, I'll tell you something interesting. If you're looking to buy a house and you start going into open houses, you know, in your neighborhood, sometimes you're gonna notice that you go into one house that looks, you know, pretty nice, and you notice the cabinets, the floors, whatever, and then you go into another house, you know, a mile down the street or whatever, another open house, and you're gonna notice that they might have the same floors, they might have the same granite countertops on the kitchen. And you know why? It's because it's most likely the same same construction company, the same same contractor that bought those homes. And what it is that they end up buying a lot of that material, and they put that same material on all the homes that they bought. That way they could save money on material costs because they're buying in bulk. So that's just something to look out for. That's basically how you know that you're buying from a contractor that, you know, is doing, like, basically flips houses, right? So again, I strongly encourage everyone out there, if you don't own a home, to definitely save up and buy a home. I think it's a great investment. I think it's a great way to create generational wealth. I think it's something that I truly believe is going to help out your family and your kids, if you have kids, and your grandkids, right? And at one point, if you're able to acquire 2 properties by the time you are older, by the time you're 65, and hopefully, if God willing, you have them paid off, you use one, basically you live rent free on one house, and hopefully it's a smaller house, and then you rent the bigger house, right? Because you're older, right? Like, you don't need a huge house when you're older, but basically you rent the bigger house, and the money from the rental goes to pay all your bills and your life. Plus, you know, you have your 401k and all those investments. So that's kind of like the goal, right? Is to buy at least 2 or 3 extra, 1 extra home, maybe 2 extra homes, and have them all kind of paid off by the time you retire. So that way you got all this income coming in, and then you could then use some of that income to help out your kids, right? Or your grandkids. You know, if your kids need help buying a house, now you can give them that kind of money. That is called generational wealth, right? That is what owning properties gives you. So it's very important, and you know, to set some life goals, and some of those life goals, you know, being to acquire properties, right? And I believe that you're gonna have a great life as a result. Now, the key really is to buy low, right? You wanna buy it as low as possible, and those opportunities are around the corner. Some people have been telling me right now, you know, some of my comments, I'm kind of full of it because prices are still expensive. I'm not full of it. Look, here's the chart. I know prices are still expensive. Look, this is black line is 2022, blue line is 2019. What I'm telling you is that it's not gonna come down crashing one day to the next. Real estate moves a little bit slower. We need to see supply, you know, just increase dramatically in order to see big prices drop. And we're not there yet. The economy is still chugging along. You know, we just added a lot of jobs this month. So right now, it's not like with inflation, yes, it's going to create huge cracks. With the Fed rates going up, it's creating huge cracks in the market, but it's not gonna happen overnight. Like I've been saying all along, it's gonna happen in the next year or 2 years. But again, this just gives us time to save up for a bigger down payment. Remember, you want a big down payment because that's gonna make everything a lot easier. Now, I just wanna say, guys, huge, incredible thank you to everybody who's been watching my videos, supporting my videos, commenting on my videos, liking my videos. You guys are amazing. Thank you guys so much. I just started this channel and I'm getting so many views. It makes me so happy that it's getting such a strong results. So thanks again. Now, if you guys do like these videos, don't forget to smash that subscribe button and go ahead and like and leave a comment. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next video.